Hey everyone, and welcome to day 2 of my Fall 2014 series. Today I am a guest designer over at the BRI blog, so I thought I'd make a cute teacher's gift. My daughter just switched out into a new room at daycare, and I wanted to thank the teachers that she had over the summer, so I'm making a small gift for them. So I'm starting out with some green cardstock, and you'll see here that I've cut really thin strips almost to the very top, but leaving a little bit so that I don't have to do each piece individually. And I'm using a paper crimper and just running the sheets of green cardstock through the paper crimper. Once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and take my scissors and just snip off the edges so that I have individual thin, about 1/4 to 1/2 inch strips of this crinkled green cardstock. And I'm using some cellophane bags from Michaels. It's their Celebrate It collection treat bags, and they're measuring 5 by 11.5. And these were just the perfect size. Any size smaller would have been too small. The next size bigger probably would have been giving me a little bit more leeway, but these worked out just great. Now I'm using 1 full sheet of green cardstock to make 1 treat bag, and you'll see later on that I have about 3 tags because I'm making a total of 3 treat bags for each teacher that was in her room. So once I've taken time to crinkle up the paper and actually snip it, I'm just going to smush it together. I wanted it to make it look like it was grass at the bottom of the bag, and so I'm just smushing it together and creating a ball in my hand and then sticking it at the bottom of the cellophane bag. And then I'm going to take the 2 products that I'm using in these bags. I purposely went looking for some apple scented lotion and soap because of the sentiment that I wanted to use to go along with these gift bags. So I happened to find some of the foaming hand soap and sanitizer, little mini sanitizer from Bed Bath & Beyond, or Bath & Body Works, excuse me. And so I'm just placing them no specific way at the bottom of the bag, just side by side, and then I'm taking some brown and white twine and I'm just creating a double knot at the top, and I'm going to make a bow, but I'll later take that out because I am going to be adding a banner tag to the front of this because I felt like it was just too plain the way it was. So you'll see here how they're sitting in there, and I have that little green at the bottom that's grass. I'm then taking the Lawn Fawn Stitched Party Banners die. This one is the smaller of the 2 banners, and I'm going to be cutting out 3 out of some really light cream cardstock. This is just some that I had in my stash. It's not from any brand that I remember in particular, but it's just really light cream cardstock, and I'm going to be cutting out 3 of them for my 3 gifts. And then once I've done that, you'll see that I'm going to start using an Alpha stamp set. And that stamp set is also from Lawn Fawn. That one is the Clark's ABCs and happens to be one of my absolute favorite fonts. I kind of went back and forth between that and the Milo one, but I lastly decided that I would be using the Clark's ABCs. So you'll see that I have 1 tag that I was practicing on initially. The other 2 tags kind of went by pretty quickly. You'll see up at the top I actually drew out lines so that I had straight sentiment. But once I had mounted all of the words onto the acrylic block, it actually goes by rather quickly. And you'll see here that I'll create the next 2 tags really fast. I just go word by word, and I'm using some VersaFine Onyx Black ink, which is my favorite. And what I love about these stamps is that if you just line them up side by side on an acrylic block, they match up perfectly. You know, you don't have one letter that's too high or too low. The way that they're cut is just perfect for mass producing like this and not having to worry about getting everything lined up perfectly on a mat. As long as you stick them together side by side, they turn out great. So you'll see that these tags come together really quickly once all the letters have been mounted onto the acrylic blocks. And the tag will read, "Couldn't have picked a better teacher." You'll see that the word picked is missing. That's because I wanted it to really pop so that it went together with the apple scented soap and sanitizer. And so here in a minute, you're going to see that I am going to be stamping that onto some green cardstock to just tie together the whole gift bag. So I've cut 2 more strips out of the same exact color of green cardstock. These are probably about close to 3/4 of an inch thick. And I'm using an anti-static tool just to make sure that I don't get any additional embossing powder where I don't want it. And I've already mounted the word picked onto my acrylic block. And I'm going to go ahead and use some Versamark ink, super sticky ink. And I'm going to stamp that not towards the edge because I want to create a banner with this, but yeah, just stamping it right on the green cardstock. And then I'm going to be using the Ranger Super Fine Detailed White Embossing Powder to heat set this with my heat tool. And once I've heat set that, I've gone ahead and trimmed it down already. I was thinking about just going straight across the banner, or yeah, the stitched banner, but then I decided that I wanted to make it appear to be a banner. And so I'm taking a trick that I learned from Jennifer McGuire and creating a faux banner. I'm going to be taking the picked sentiment and actually making it a little bit shorter and applying some foam adhesive onto the back of it so that it is a little bit raised. And I'm taking those 2 smaller pieces that I cut that little V shape out of the corners to kind of create my faux banner on either side of it. The picked is getting some foam tape, as I mentioned, and then the 2 edges will just be using some snail adhesive to attach those onto each side. And I really like the look that this creates. You don't have to pull out any additional dies or cutting machines such as a Cricut or Cameo. It's just a really quick and easy way to create a banner look without all the extra work and time. So once I've attached that, I really like the way it's turned out, but I feel like it's just missing something. And what at that moment, I couldn't figure it out. So it took me a little while to finally decide what it needed, and obviously it needed an apple on there. So I'm using the paper smooches, or excuse me, I'm using the Scrappy Mom stamp, the Pick of the Patch. It's an older one, but is a great sentiment, especially for this time of the year. And you'll have to apologize for the spinning toy in smaller hands. My daughter was home from daycare at this point, and she wanted to sit with me. She likes to just sit and play with scraps of paper, and so she decided to bring a piece of one of her games onto the table with me, and so you'll see her head and her hands show up in a minute. So anyways, part of this stamp set, there are a small pumpkin image, and then there's also an apple image, and I just thought, oh my god, this would be perfect on there. This is exactly what it needs. So I'm taking the Simon Says stamp in Schoolhouse Red, and I'm stamping the actual body of the apple, and then I'm taking the Hero Arts Shadow Ink in Forever Green, and I'm just going to be stamping the leaf part of the apple. And then she's telling me what colors I'm using. So right there, perfect, love the way it turned out. I'm actually going to be going over the apple, not the leaf, but just the body of the apple with some glossy accents here in a minute. And it really just totally finishes off this tag. It was the perfect touch and exactly what it needed. So I set my tag aside to dry, and there you'll see that little bit of shine and dimension to that apple, and you'll see our gift bag. I've already taken out the bow, I've kept the double knot, and all I'm going to do to finish it off is just tie this tag up towards the top and make it into a bow, and that completes the bag. I thought these were really simple. This would be great for a teacher that your child is just going into their class, or even an end of the year gift like I created for my daughter's daycare teachers, and really inexpensive and really quick to put together. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this project. Be sure to head over to the BRI blog and check out all the details and links to the products that I used on this project, and I'll see you guys in the next video.